Breaking news on CBS Sports HQ, and it's in college football. Arch Manning has committed to Texas. Manning is a five-star recruit, the #1 player in the class of 2023. He just visited Austin this past weekend following trips to Georgia and Alabama, but he has landed with the Texas Longhorns and Coach Steve Sarkisian. Arch Manning taking to Twitter, making it official, saying committed to the University of Texas, and of course using that famous hashtag, Hook'em. All right, let's welcome in our Chip Patterson. Now breaking this down, Arch Manning has officially committed to Texas. Are you surprised by this decision? What was your initial reaction to this?
I was surprised by the timing. I thought that we were going to see the dead period, which starts next Monday and runs till July 23rd, to be a time that Arch Manning was going to get together with his family and really set a timetable. Because if there's any prospect in recent recruiting history who could take his time with making his commitment when all coaches want you to go ahead and commit now, it would be Arch Manning. So this is absolutely huge for Texas. You know, that's the first thing, the obvious thing. But it's also a little bit surprising that he's going to go ahead and do it right on the heels of that official visit. You know, he went to visit Georgia, got the pictures in the pads, got the fans all excited. Went to Alabama, pictures in the pads, got the fans all excited. The visit to Texas reportedly went very, very well. I had no idea it was going to go this well, that Arch Manning, a prospect who could have taken as much time as he wanted to make his decision about where he would play college football, for him to turn right around and commit to Steve Sarkisian. The impact of that visit and what Steve Sarkisian and the Texas staff have been selling clearly worked for Arch Manning and his family, and this is a program-changing commitment for the Longhorns.
You just mentioned it there, a program-changing commitment for the Longhorns. So what do you think the immediate impact will be? Will this change things around right away, or is this something that might take time to build?
It will change things right away in the 2023 recruiting cycle, because now as Steve Sarkisian looks to fill out his class, especially on the offensive side of the ball, you know what he gets to sell? Arch Manning. When he's going to wide receivers, when he's going to offensive linemen, when he's going to running backs, he gets to say you get to be in an offense with a potentially generational quarterback talent. And so you, yes, get the impact of 2023. You know that when he comes on campus, he's going to have an impact in terms of being able to raise the level of play in the quarterback room right away. Now, what will it do in 2022? Not major impact, but guess what? We've got Quinn Ewers, another elite quarterback prospect who's going to be taking over that offense. And I do think there has to be some part of this where Steve Sarkisian is able to go to Arch Manning and say, look, at the system that I am setting up for another quarterback that does have dual threat capability, that does have the ability to run a wide open offense and be very prolific and very, very productive. It's like with what Quinn Ewers is expected to do with Texas in 2022, that had to be some of the selling point that got Arch Manning to commit to the Longhorns.
Yeah, I mean, you just mentioned it there. So they got Quinn Ewers, who's the #1 recruit and #1 quarterback just 2 years ago. So what does that mean for him?
For him, he still could be in the NFL draft soon, before Arch Manning is maybe even particularly ready to go and take that quarterback job. Remember, Quinn Ewers started his college career back at Ohio State, so his 3 years out of high school is going to come up before Arch Manning is deep into his college career. I think that if you go into the 2023 season and you do have both of those quarterbacks in the room, you've got the best case scenario where there is going to be a little bit of time, there is going to be a little bit of runway before you really hand the reins over. It is not often that these generational prospects are going to be given that week one true freshman starting job. It is a little bit better, I think, for the player and certainly for the coaching staff to know that you've got a proven option above them to let them get their feet settled. And so I think that there's no major competition right away. Instead, Texas fans are looking at the offensive line class that Steve Sarkisian has signed in the recent recruiting cycles. They're looking at Quinn Ewers. They're looking at the wide receiver position and the work the Longhorns have done on the transfer portal. And you think that with Arch Manning on board, there is going to be all gas, no brakes, high scoring offenses at Texas for 3-4 years to come. And that is a great feeling for a program that will be moving to the SEC very soon.
You look at Texas as a whole, so they had Ewers, now they're going to have Arch Manning in 2023. What does that say about Sark and what he's been able to do with this program and then just his recruiting in general?
What I've heard is that this is really about relationships, and that Steve Sarkisian has done a fantastic job, and his entire offensive staff, of really making sure that, while they didn't have the national championships that Alabama and Georgia did, while they didn't have the recent run of success that Alabama and Georgia did, they were able to sell the future, and they were able to sell themselves. And look, the Longhorns don't even have any recent success under Steve Sarkisian. This is a team that went 5-7 last year and lost to Kansas at home. This is all about off-field and the future, because there is nothing in recent Texas history on the field that says that this is going to be where you're going to win a national championship. There's nothing about even just last season that says that Steve Sarkisian is going to be able to lead Texas to being back. But what Steve Sarkisian has been able to do on the recruiting trail, and especially here with the recruitment of Arch Manning, is say, I understand that we don't have what Alabama and Georgia do in terms of recent success, but with you on board, with the people that we are assembling in Austin, we are going to be able to lead the Longhorns back into competition for national championships. And clearly that sales pitch is working. So this is massive in terms of Steve Sarkisian, what he's been able to do, the relationships he's able to build, and what he's able to sell about the future of Longhorns football.
It's all about relationships and family. That's right. Thank